All right, this is going to be a video all about the writing process for PA. So let's get this PowerPoint going. And yeah, the writing process for PA. So here's a little quick checklist of everything that you should have already gotten done before you start writing. So you want to know your specified topic, then you want to have a solid amount, if not all, so the majority of your research done. And here I talk about stories, expert opinions, statistics, explanations, studies. These are like the 5 different categories of sources. If you don't understand this or you want some more information on that, then there is a research video that you can watch and that'll explain all of that. But you want to have around 8 to 10 sources of each of these categories. So before you start writing, you should have around 40 to 50 sources. Not that you're going to use all of those, of course, but that's just like the number that will allow for you to have the type of understanding that you need in order to be able to write a speech about a topic. So then decide whether your topic makes a better info or OO. You might have already done this when you were choosing your topic, but many topics can be either an info or an OO. It kind of just depends on how you frame it and what direction you want to take it. But if you're unsure, then feel free to ask me or Zoe or really anyone on PA, and we can tell you what our opinion is. Then you want to choose an according structure or outline depending on whether you're doing an info or an OO. And remember that your research is and your topic are what determine your structure. So it's not just what you want, but that's another reason why it's important to have done your research already so that you can choose the best structure for that specific research and topic. And then just fill in your outline. And once you've done all that, you can start writing. So here's a little overview of just the general process. Obviously, writing is a very individual thing, so you might have a different way of doing it, but this is just kind of how the steps are laid out for just in general. So you'll start with topic selection, then research a bunch, and then narrow down your topic. So by now you should know exactly what your specific topic is. So then you do a ton of research right here. And once you have those 40 to 50 sources, you can start doing your outline. And you can also research while you're making your outline, after making your outline. And then from there, you go on to your first draft. This does not need to be perfect at all. This is just getting all of the info out, a very rough sketch of your speech. And then from your first draft, you'll send that out to really as many people as you can. I recommend your teammates, your officers, Jennings, the speech coach, he can look at it for you. Your family, your friends, really anyone. Everyone's perspective is valuable because the people that you're going to be sharing your speech with at tournaments aren't necessarily they don't necessarily know the event or have been doing it. So everyone's perspective is valuable to see how they perceive it and understand it, and if they can recommend edits that they think would be better. So then you'll take all of those suggestions and turn it into your second draft. You can choose which edits you want to do and which ones you don't want to do, and any of your own edits that you want to make. And then from there, you can work on refining and maybe even creating your jokes. And again, this is very collaborative, this process, because humor is such an individual, it's so different from person to person. So you really want to get like a wide scope of different suggestions, different things people think are funny. And then once you have those, you can do the ones you like most. And then you want to try it out on as many people as possible to see if they actually think it's funny or if it's just you, which is a little sad, but really important because since it is so varies from person to person. And then from there, you can work on presenting. So yeah. Now to just get a little bit more specific to different parts of your speech that you're going to write, AGDs and transitions. So there are 3 types of AGDs, real, hyperreal, and absurd. So real is just like an unexaggerated anecdote from your life, so a true story that happened. Hyperreal is like a true story, but you kind of exaggerate it or embellish it to either make it funnier or more dramatic. And then absurd is just something that's so crazy that it's easily identifiable as not a true story. So AGDs are usually really centered on humor, but the main thing is just wanting a surprise or shock factor. So that doesn't necessarily need to be humor, but laughter is just a great way to connect people. So if you open your speech with some humor, that's a great way to just get the audience's attention and kind of allow them to connect with you in that like audience to speaker relationship. And then transitions, which can also be called vehicles, you are going to have a transition between each of your main points. And the main purpose of them is to kind of move your speech along. So obviously you don't want to just like finish a point and then go straight into another point. So transitions serve to kind of like wrap up what you were, or yeah, like let the audience digest what you're saying. And then kind of have a little break with some humor. So that's what we're going to talk about here with linear and thematic. And then kind of prepare them for what you're going to be talking about next. So then the type of humor that you'll use, linear is something that connects to your AGD. So this is kind of like a way of threading together your AGD, your transitions, your conclusion, so that even though you may be talking about different things throughout your speech, you'll kind of come back to this main piece that can help the audience just like stay connected and have like a central just point of humor in it. So it's like a narrative kind of just tying it all together. And then the other option is thematic. So that's like different stories that are tied to the same theme. So examples for each. Linear, for example, if your AGD was about a story about your basketball team, then your transitions could be like, one could be another story about, they would all be like different stories about your basketball team. But then thematic, if your AGD was a story about your basketball team, one transition might be a story about your baseball team, and then one might be a story about like your track team. So then the theme would be sports. So that's kind of the difference between them. And then when we go into talking about writing main points and subpoints, again, writing is very individual. So it might not look like this for you, but these are kind of the 2 ways that you can go about it. The first is start big and then go small. So this is kind of where you just write as much as you can on the page. I said word vomit. And then when you edit, you'll kind of chip away and tidy it up to make it more concise and make it sound better. And then the other option is small to big. So this is where you would write very simple, basic sentences and just get like the most minimal information you kind of can out and just like very basically state it. And then when you'll edit, you'll come in and fill it out by adding words and then improving tone and word choice and just making it more presentable and nice overall. So that's kind of it on writing. Some just reminders. Again, your first draft will not be perfect. So just focus on getting all of your information out, and then you can come back and edit and make it nice and sound good and just like fix it up. And then again, like I said, speech is collaborative, so take advantage of your peers and officers and really anyone's different perspectives, sense of humor, etc. when editing. Also, you don't need to start with the intro. So if the idea of like writing an AGD and combining all the different parts of an intro is kind of stressing you out, but you know what you want to talk about in one of your main points, for example, then start with that. That's fine. But you do just want to have like a set roadmap already, so you know where you're going with your speech and you're not just like writing random stuff. And then your speech is never finished. So, especially once the season starts and you go to tournaments and you get your ballots back from the judge where they write like their critiques and compliments and remarks, then you'll use those after every tournament to kind of touch up your speech. So the main thing is that you are continually refining your speech throughout the season. So you'll never have like a final finished draft. So don't be scared to have an incomplete draft for your first tournament. Like there's no need, you're never gonna have a perfect draft. And just a few quick tips. So I kind of already said this, but focus on just getting all of the information out first. Your personality, adding personality and adding humor can come later. The main thing and the hardest thing to do is just writing everything that you want to say. And then this might not be helpful to everyone. It kind of depends on how your brain works. But me personally, I really understand like how to write an essay. So for me, it helps to treat writing a speech like writing an essay, because the information and the layout, like 3 body paragraphs, you know, it's kind of the same thing. And then the difference is that you just need to make it add personality and make it more speechy, and that can come later, like I said. And then last thing, this isn't really a tip, but just do it. I know it can seem daunting to like take all of the little information that you have and then turn it into like a full-blown speech, but remember that it is not going to be perfect right away, and that's what your officers and your teammates are here to help you touch it up, edit it, give our suggestions, and help you through the process. So really, biggest thing is just sit down, write it out. It might take a few hours, but then you're done and you can get on to the fun stuff like adding personality and writing jokes and all of that stuff. So that is everything with writing. If you have any questions about this or anything else, or you're confused, then just email or text me or Zoe or really anyone on PA, and we will be happy to help you. So yeah.